Alright, today we're going to be talking about the Zhaitan fight at the end of the personal story in Vanilla Guild Wars 2. So Preach Gaming made a video about it, basically saying it's like the worst fucking boss fight ever. Even worse than this fight that he did in Duke Nukem Forever. Fuck if I know on that one. I never played that shitty ass game, but yeah, I remember 3 years ago when I made my first impressions video, I was like, dude, this game is incredible, right? But this boss fight is legitimately the worst boss fight I have ever seen in a video game in my entire fucking life. Like, I don't know how such an incredible game, especially the vanilla version of the game, it was so incredible, managed to fuck up that hard to be, at the time, and I think it still is, the best MMO. And they have the worst boss fight, not just an MMO, like MMOs, right? Like, the worst boss fight in video game history, or one of the worst boss fights. Like, that's fucking insane, dude, because Zhaitan was badass looking, man. He was very much kind of like a background kind of antagonist. There was really never anything, I don't know, you don't really, like, care about Zhaitan that much, and I'm not talking about like making him understandable or any of that fucking shit people like to do nowadays. I am perfectly fine with just pure fucking evil. I don't know where the whole concept comes from now, where people just want these fucking villains like Thanos and shit. And what really opened my mind to that was fucking Darkseid in Justice League, man. That shit was fucking sick. He was fucking badass, man. And he's just pure evil. He wants to control the entire goddamn universe, right? So, I don't know. That's a little sidetrack there. But, yeah, Zhaitan, he could have been cool as shit. He looked really cool, but the fight sucks, dude. It's so bad. So essentially, his little minions that you fight are literally better than the fight itself, which is crazy. You just spam one on a turret and you kill him. And it's like, what? It's such a horrible ending. I would have understood if you spam, and I think this would have actually been a really cool approach to it. If you spam one, right, you do that turret section, you think you kill him, but he ends up fucking grabbing your ship and dragging it down below, and all of a sudden, in that area below, on the ground, you're forced to fight this motherfucker in this poisonous kind of environment. You're taking dot damage, he's doing crazy shit, he has like a bunch of Risen attacking you, and you're really forced to fight him and have this hard fight. I think that would have been so cool if that would have been the case. Because, it's like a subversion of expectations. You're like, wow, this shit sucks. And then you go into that and it's like, oh, fuck. So if they were to ever redesign the Zhaitan boss fight, which honestly, I am incredibly shocked. They did all of this work last year on the new player experience, right? Especially like when August with the Guild Wars anniversary came out, the new player experience was so much better. It's so much easier to level up, even though it was already incredibly easy to level up in the first place. And it's just, they did all this work for new players. They brought back Living World Season 1, which was a huge thing. And it was like, how did we do all of this, but we didn't rework the Zhaitan boss fight? Like, that's fucking insane to me. I don't know why this hasn't been reworked already, and I think if they do rework it, this would be a perfect opportunity to bring it in as a new strike mission with the challenge mode and some new Zhaitan kind of themed weapons and shit. Make them different though from the Zhaitan legendaries. I think that'd be really cool. Or like Risen themed shit, I don't know, something like that. Maybe like a Zhaitan themed armor set or some shit, I think that would be really cool if they did that. And I think that would be a perfect opportunity to bring it back, not only as a, revamped story mission, but actually as like this replayable group content. I think that would be so damn cool. And yeah, so they need to rework it, man. I remember, like I said, 3 years ago, I was like, this shit sucks. And now, 3 years later, we had Preach saying, yeah, this shit fucking sucks. And, he didn't say it like that, obviously, but he's much more, mature, and, he doesn't cuss as much as I do. I don't even think he cusses at all, does he? I don't fucking know. But yeah, so that's kind of that, man. They need to rework this shitty-ass fight. Like I said, this game is fucking incredible. There's so many things about it. There's actually a lot of really good boss fights, I would argue every single world boss in the game, especially after the reworks that we got, is like 100 million times better than the finale of the fucking story, man. That's crazy. For the vanilla game, too. I would think that the most amount of resources and money out of all the stories would have gone into the vanilla game And that's why I kind of like sequels, honestly. I don't feel like we need to stick with one game forever, because usually adding expansions to one's expansion isn't really exciting as like getting a sequel, but I don't know. That's a whole other video for me. I would rather see a sequel for these MMOs every like 5 to 7 years, something like that, rather than, you know, waiting 15 years like World of Warcraft or some shit like that. I don't know. I might make a whole ass video on that. I like sequels, man. I don't see a problem with sequels for MMOs, but a lot of people don't like them, so I guess that's probably why they don't go that route with them. But yeah, rework this fight, man. This fight sucks balls. You know, I have a lot of ideas I could probably come up with, but I think that one would be the best. You know, like you have that turret section. Perhaps there's like maybe in a 10-player environment, right? For the strike missions, you would have, you know, maybe like 3 or 4 people on the turrets, and then the rest are fighting off this huge force of, you know, some other like little mini dragons and shit like that, and some Risen fighting you. I think it'd be really cool. Eventually you get him, and it fucking, you know, drops you down. He just grabs that shit, brings you down with him, and all of you guys are just in this insane fucking battle. I would love that personally. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it would take a lot of time and resources to do that kind of thing. So maybe they would just make the fight a little more engaging and at least somewhat decent, you know? I think at least they could do that and make it just kind of, you know, bare minimum rather than the shit they have now. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on everything, man. I really hope they change this eventually. Like I said, I'm really shocked that in the last year that was a huge thing. But yeah, that's it. Peace.
Cheated on me, bro. All the shit that I got going on in my life, I tried to give this bitch the world. She fucking cheated on me, bro. Fuck cheaters.